actually started off more in defense and intelligence. Supporting the Navy, and then expanded from there, and then went into the intelligence space. And that's kind of how my career grew, from running large segments to, running companies. And it was always very rewarding for me because I was very passionate about the mission. And that's a key point to me, and I'll come back to that. But just being part of a mission-focused organization, realizing that you were driving value through technology, that you were actually, had an opportunity to save people's lives through your technology and what you were doing, and then actually provide a service, especially in the intelligence space, with your technology that could, again, save lives. We got involved with human trafficking. I mean, things that there was just so much that you could do to help support the government in identifying the bad players, right? So I've always been pretty passionate about mission, and then the tools that you can use to execute that mission. So I went through my career, and I actually, back in, I guess it was 2017, I was running a company, an intelligence company. It was acquired, and I had the opportunity to kind of sit back and reflect on what I wanted to do next, because I had those wonderful non-competes and non-solicits, so no one could hire me in defense or intelligence. And actually, I was okay with that, because on a personal side, my husband and I have spent so much time helping those in need, focused on affordable housing, the homeless, the opioid epidemic, and I took time and just we worked our personal mission that we had. Then I got this phone call from Korn Ferry, who's a headhunter, we call them. They like to be called something fancier than that, but and they said, "Hey, Deb, there's this company, then at the time GTL, and they're looking for a CEO, and we know you probably have never heard of them, but would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I have heard of them. I've used their services, because at that time my nephew was incarcerated for drug issues, and I had used the services, and I had become what now I am a huge proponent of, and that's that family and friend, the person that really, really wants to have that impactful engagement and communication with their loved ones when they're incarcerated." So actually went to New York, went on the interview. My nephew had gotten released. He helped me prepare for the interview, because I asked him, what was it like? And I was the one that funded his account so he could talk to his mother and grandmother. So he educated me on, thanks, Aunt Deb, for everything you did to try and help me. But once the money got put on my account, this is what happened to me. And, just the fact that even though I thought I had done what I needed to do so he could be engaged with his loved ones, he would then have to wait in lines to get to a wall phone, right, in order to make that phone call that I had paid for. Or he might have to deal with the gang members who would actually control access to the wall phones. So it was something that I never was aware of what it was like once you were inside the wall, per se. So he helped me get ready for the interview, and fortunately I was selected. And I arrived here in 2018, in March or April, I think it was. And I walked in, and Gad will appreciate this. And I walked in and I said, "So where's the mission statement?" Because I grew up with a mission, where's the mission statement? And the mission statement said double revenue. And I said, "Well, gosh, that's not really a mission statement." So, and I'm sitting here going, there's so much that this company can do to make a real difference in people's lives and create a safe environment for the officers and help that group, the friends and family that I was a part of, that, how can I look at a mission statement that says this? So went on my 100-day road show when I first started, drafted a new mission statement with the help of the people that I talked to, the people that work here at now ViaPath, and we drafted a new mission statement, and it was all about our stakeholders. And I don't mean stakeholders like the private equity firm that owns you. I'm talking about the stakeholders as far as the people you're really touching their lives, right? So now our mission statement is drafted with a focus on our 4 primary stakeholders, and one is to create that safe environment for the officers. You know, whether it's in the U.S. or globally, international, there is a shortage typically of the officers. You want to create a safe environment. Our technology will do that. And the technology I'm referencing now is more the tablets, which we'll talk about, right? The phones, wall phones aren't really technology. The tablets are where you see the technology. So, but the safety of the officers, making sure that the incarcerated individual has impactful engagement with their loved ones and has resources to help them when they're ready to reenter. The third stakeholder is the family and friends, and we have recently now really focused on the fourth stakeholder, which is now that incarcerated individual and their reentry when they're returning citizens. Many people came into my office and said, you should change the name of the company. I'm like, well, what does that mean? You know, you can't, and I'm sorry, there's an expression that I use that lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, right? You can't, you have to earn the right to rebrand. So, I spent my first 2.5 years here really, really working on that mission and making sure that we were walking the talk, and that the people that work for ViaPath always believed in this mission. It was just not, it wasn't what we led with, right? So once I was comfortable that we in fact had demonstrated our commitment to this mission, that we had driven our phone rates down lower than the caps that the FCC puts on them, that we were offering free phone calls, free video visitation, that I wanted as much free content on these tablets that had to do with education, with mental health, anything that would help. We do job training now. We're helping with job placement. So when I knew that we had made those investments and we were actually pushing out the type of content I wanted on these tablets, then I was ready to rebrand. So that's why we went to ViaPath Technologies. Feel very comfortable. I believe in what we're doing. It wasn't to run away from the advocacy groups, because you can never do that. I can't fix prison reform. All I can do is make sure that people are treated with dignity and respect, and those who have, served their time deserve a second chance. So, and I want a safe environment also for those who are incarcerated, because, there's some very bad people who are incarcerated, right? But then when you take that very bad person and you put him next to my nephew, that's what scares me. So if our tablet can help, protect people like him, that's what I want to focus on. I think that actually when I first got here, there was a real hesitation to adopt the tablets because they were concerned about security, right? Could this tablet be, turned into some type of weapon? Could, in fact, they use the tablet technology to get outside, and communicate with people, which they should not be communicating with, right? So as we started to roll these tablets out and demonstrate our investment in the security, our tablets are very, very secure, right? First, you can't break them, you can't get inside of them and, use the batteries for nefarious things. They're correction grade tablets, and we've made huge investments there. So that's one part of it. The second part is the infrastructure behind those tablets and the security that we put into that. So you can't use our tablets and get outside, right? And even if you're using a tablet like for video visitation, which has been fantastic, If you start to move around with that tablet, the screen goes black. So you can't take the tablet and, maybe show a corrections officer to the person you're talking to, or do anything that might be bad, right? So once we started rolling these tablets out and demonstrating how secure they were, and showing, and the facility saw that this really calmed things down. Like that was one of the comments out of New South Wales. I mean, once we rolled these tablets out, they were everybody was calmer. They actually had something that belonged to them, even though in most cases in the US, we typically finance all the tablets, right? But they're different models all over the place. But it was their tablet, and they could use it for any type of relaxation, any type of training, anything to help them prepare for reintegration. They could talk to their loved ones. They could listen to their, any type of their religious things that they needed to. So it really created a calmer environment, and people started seeing this. So now I've got to tell you, the demand is huge. I mean, everybody wants tablets. That's what I'm seeing. They see the value. They're comfortable with our security investments that we've made. So it's not only at the large Department of Corrections at the state levels, but the larger counties, even the smaller counties want the tablets. So they just had to get used to the technology, and that it wasn't going to be used for something bad. So I want to continue to, when I talked about that fourth stakeholder, which is the returning citizen. So we're making some real investments now on how we can take everything that we provided to that individual while they were incarcerated and make sure they have access to it once they're released. So we're actually working on a release app. So they have, because while you're incarcerated, maybe you had to redo your driver's license, you had to, get your Medicare, so whatever you needed to do. And right now, in many cases, they just print it out on paper and there you go, right? When you're released. That's very difficult. It's also very difficult to maneuver within the US, which I have more experience with, through the whole system once you get out. So we want to make sure that we have this release app that provides information, not only what they did while they were incarcerated, any job training, certificates, education. They can continue their education or any coursework while they're released, once they're released. So it doesn't stop using this release app. So that's our next investment, is actually working with them, making sure that the job that they got, we help them secure it. So we're working with employers now to say, okay, what type of certificate does this individual need? So once they're released, you'll hire them. And we're actually challenging the employers, because a lot of people say they'll hire second chance hires and they don't. And I am very vocal with employers. Like I was involved during my time in defense with rolling out some of the onboarding for veterans. And, I was always all about people first. And when you were hiring a veteran, you had to realize that you might be dealing with someone with PTSD. So the onboarding process is very, very different. Their office placement needed to be considered. Just making sure that you weren't not treating them special, but understanding perhaps the special needs that this individual may have, right? It's the same way with a returning citizen. So making sure when you're doing the interview process that you understand, some of the challenges that they have. Perhaps they're going to need more time for you to help them with understanding the health care that you're providing. Maybe they need help with affordable housing, transportation. So things that maybe typically you would not be talking to a future employee about. So we're actually working with the Fairfax Chamber of Commerce to educate people more. So just becoming a lot more vocal on, this is an underserved community that needs to be served and needs to be appreciated. Once they have bastically, I don't want to say served their time, because that's not the term I want to use, but once they have done what they needed to do, they deserve a second chance. How's that? So but yeah, so I would say that this is what I am very, very excited about, and how our technology can help here. Then the last thing is the friends and family. So allowing our friends and family to use the services we provide also. So if they want to take a course or they want to do something to help, then they could also use our release app for that. I'd really like to start measuring how many people used our services while they were incarcerated, and then actually got employment through our services once they were released, and how long did they keep that job, right? So, and that's going to be hard, but I'm willing to make the investment. I mean, we have, and that release app is how I'll do that, right? So that's how I can stay in contact with that individual, is through that release app. So and right now, I mean, we have, we measure how many learning hours people are taking, and it's over 4 million to date. And we have a ticker on our website that shows. So that's all great, wonderful. But to actually see if we're being successful is to look at, okay, what happened once you were released? And did you find that job? And was it not at a fast food restaurant where you go in with an ankle bracelet, and I just, but is it a career for you, which is going to help so much to, again, with self-esteem and being able to take care of yourself once you're released. It's going to help with that family dynamic. So I'm just, that's how that's my goal. We are not there yet, but that is my goal. There's so much that the industry is doing to drive positive change. And I think, and it takes investments on our part, huge investments in capital. And if we weren't doing this, nobody would be doing it. I just, so as, we'll have some of the advocacy groups still say, oh my gosh, it's, $30 to talk for 5 minutes. That is not true. So any way to help educate people on the value that actually industry partners can provide here. And I'm not saying all do, there's some that probably still have that mission statement we're talking about, but that's not ours. And I really do appreciate the opportunity. I have to tell you, CLA and ICPA have helped me a lot learn. I mean, I love to listen to, what's going on in the meetings and the whole partnership, I think, between the Scandinavia and PA Doc. I mean, that was huge. And PA Doc are my customers, So I think we can learn a lot as we take a global look at this industry. So I appreciate that. And I think bringing some of the positives that came out of like that study into our system can only be a positive.